Well, hello, all you cool cats and kittens. This is um, Second Kings, chapter 5, the story of Naaman that we will be covering today. I'll be reading the Hebrew and giving you a couple of tips. Obviously, we haven't moved far in the narrative from chapter 4, but it is probably good to look over chapter 4 and the structure of it to get you into chapter 5, and definitely look through verses 1 through 8 fairly carefully. There might be some hints in the Hebrew there as well that might be interesting for you, including looking at what the young woman says, who had been captured and made a slave by the Arameans, and her testimony is a fascinating one, and her role in the story as well, the anonymous character. In any event, we'll start with 2 Kings chapter 5, verse 9. Vayavo Naaman Susav. And then you'll notice here that there's a Kativ Kare issue. If you're looking at your BHS, you'll notice that there is a little circle above this word, and that refers you to the edge of the page where there are Masoretic notations there. And you'll see a little kof for kare, that means read aloud, and then another version of that word. So wherever you see those kofs, you're looking at a Kativ Kare issue. And in software like BibleWorks and Accordance, you'll see these little parentheses, and that's the way that they do it. So really, Susav is what you'd read, and so the difference here is that sus is singular and Susav is plural. So the horses, and then uv rikbo, and rechev is usually in the singular, even if it means plural, so chariotry, or you can translate it in English as chariots. Just know that usually it's in the singular. Horses is usually in the plural, which is why it was so strange that this appeared in the singular as sus, a horse, and chariotry. Usually it's horses and chariotry. Now we'll come back to the horses and chariot stuff next chapter, in chapter 6. Vaya amod petach habayit la Elisha. So if we're going to look to divide this up, the Athnach is here under Rikbo. So we'll read the kind of translate to the Athnach, and then we'll translate after that. So, and he went, Naaman. And Naaman went, and again it's the Vayat Tol here, so we're continuing the story. And Naaman went with his horses and his chariotry. And the whole point there, right, is that he's a big deal. And then via Amod, and he stood, and then Patach Habayit, the door of the house. And there's no preposition here, but sometimes you can add a preposition if you want to get real particular here. If you did an ordination exam and you need to figure out how to talk about this, you can call it the adverbial accusative. The accusative is a case. That means that it's a particular grammatical construction. And the adverbial accusative is a way that you can sort of add an ly to any word in Hebrew if you need to. So he was standing at the door of the housely. It's modifying the verb. That is, where was he standing? At the door of the house. So this is just a particular construction of Semitic languages. If you ever need to add a preposition and it's not there, and you're asked why it's not there, the adverbial accusative is your friend. And then to Elisha, and this is the kind of possession or ownership, right? It was Elisha's door. Okay, so Naaman comes, and again, Naaman has been on this quest, and he brought all his huge amount of money and all of his 10 shirts that he brought. I guess maybe his skin condition requires him to have multiple shirts, but also a lot of times prophets were actually paid in clothing. We can see this from other ancient Near Eastern letters at Mari, that the clothing was a gift sometimes for prophets. So anyway, a shirt was a really expensive and important thing in the ancient world. Vayishlach elav Elisha malach lemor. Here's the Athnach, so I'll stop there and translate. Vayishlach, and he sent, elav, to him. This is just the preposition el, and then him. The way that ale works. Ale takes this, the preposition to takes this little yod whenever you stick on a object suffix. So that's just the way it works. And he sent to him, and then Elisha, this is our subject. So Elisha sent to him, that is Naaman, Malach, a messenger. Now, is this an angel? Right. This is part of the confusing thing about this use of malach. The divine and human messengers have the same words. So, in any event, we don't know, but probably a person, one of his servants. Lamor, saying, and this is a lamed here, a preposition to, and remember that when you see a lamed stuck onto verbs, you're looking at an infinitive construct. So here's lamor, and we translate that as saying. And then haloch, this is from the verb halach, the root he lamed kaf. Here, you might imagine that it should be, just based on the context, a short vowel here, a schwa, which would be haloch, which would be the imperative, go. But it's instead the infinitive construct form. Infinitive constructs have, when they don't have something else added to the front of it, their infinitive absolute form. This is our infinitive construct form it's in construct, it's got the lamed stuck onto it. This is our infinitive absolute form, where you have the O vowel, just like you do with an infinitive construct, but you also have this long A vowel underneath your first radical. So go, the infinitive absolute can sometimes take this kind of command sense of a command. So go, and then ra, here, and sorry, here's the Athnach, so I stopped there. I'll just go ahead and read the Hebrew up to the Zakef Katon here. So, haloch, v'rachatzta, shava, pa'amim, ba, yardain. All right, so I already talked about this here, the haloch, so go, infinitive construct, but functioning as an imperative. V'rachatzta, and this is from the root rachatz, and you have the ta ending. Remember, we have our suffix endings. That's for our call imperfect. For our call perfect. So we have here a vav plus our call perfect. This is following after what is functioning as an imperative, though. Right? Remember that verbs work in chains. Here's our first verb. Here's our second verb in the chain. Imperative plus vav plus perfect continues the imperatival chain. So imperative plus infinitive construct function, or absolute functioning as an imperative, plus a vav plus a perfect. That's going to just continue this chain of imperatives. So go and wash, or take a bath. Go and take a bath. Shava pa'amim. 7. This is the word 7. Shava. So Beer Sheba, Beer Sheva, Beer means well, and Sheva means 7. So that's the city of 7 wells. That's what Beer Sheba means. So Sheva. Pa'amim. Pa'amim really means kind of a step or a beat. But, times is the way that it's translated. 7 beats or 7 times. Do this 7 times. Ba Yardain, in the Jordan River. And then I'll read to the end of the verse. Vaya Shove, this is a sheen with a holum. So it looks like you got both the sheen and the seen dots there, right? If you ever see this kind of double dot sheen, you're looking at a sheen with a holum after it. So Vayashov basar cha lecha u tahar. So Vayashov, this is from shuv, to return. This is our prefix here, our performative. So, and biactol form, and actually it's functioning kind of like adjussive. So it's just to remind ourselves where we are in the sentence. Go and clean or wash 7 times in the Jordan, and then we're going to continue our story here, and you return. You basically, it will return. This is the third person. So something, it or he, will return. And then the subject comes next. Basar cha, your flesh, your skin. Your skin will return. Shuv can mean like to be restored, like returned to you, returned to its rightful state. Um, and your skin will be returned, and then to normal is what it means, but it doesn't say that. So your skin will be returned. And then lecha, to you, your skin will be returned to you, restored to you. U tahar, and then here is an imperative. You can tell it's an imperative because you've got this short schwa, your vocal schwa in your first radical here, tahar, and that just means be clean and be clean. You can translate this as like you will then be clean. It's kind of the last bit of the command here. Okay, so I'll read the Athnak first, which is here. Vai Yiktsof Naaman Vayelach. So Vai, we have the Vayiktol form here. Yiktsof, and that root there, Kof Tzade Pei. That's like to be rage, full of rage and wrath. Some translations say be angry, but this is like super angry, like breaking, throwing stuff, angry. So, and Naaman was really upset or wrathful or super angry, and he went away is one way you can think about this, right? Vayomer hine amarti elai yetse yatso. And I'll stop here. This is a disjunctive accent here, so I'll just translate that. Vayomer, and he said, so Naaman goes away and he's really angry, and he says, Hine, look, hey, behold, geez. Amarti, I said a lie to myself. This is ancient way of talking about thinking to oneself. I was talking to myself, or I was thinking to myself. Yetse yatso. This is the same root. Just hear how that sounds so similar, right? Yetse yatso. So this is he will come out. This is a first yod verb here, yatsa, and when it's put into the imperfect third person masculine form or plural form, you get this yod here, right? This prefix of a yod. You get two yod prefixes, a yod prefix and then the yod as the first letter of the root added together equals this yod with a long I-class vowel. What you got was a lengthening of the vowel instead of a doubling of the yod here. So that happens with all these first yod verbs, the real first yod verbs. So there's only 7 of them, I think, right? Like a yatav is one of them to be good. So yetse, so he will come out. And then yatso, this is the infinitive absolute form. Remember when we have the repetition of the root with a finite verb and then an infinite verb, an infinitive, without a non-finite verb. This means it's like a emphatic construction. So he will really come out. I was sure that he was going to come out. He was really going to come out. Amar kara b'shem Adonai, or Yahweh Elohav. So he was really going to come out, and then here's our this is an imperfect verb. Remember when we have chains of verbs, this is our imperfect. So here's what I thought. He was going to come out. He will come out, right? He will come out, and he stood. This is a call perfect, but remember our chains of verbs. Imperfect plus vav plus perfect in a chain means it's future storytelling. So he will come out, and he will stand, and he will say or call out loud, kara, on or in the Shem Adonai, the name of the Lord, the name of Yahweh, Elohav, his God. V'henif yado el ha-makom v'asaf ha. And then this is referring to a word that was previously in the story, but not in the part we translated yet. So far, Matsora. Okay, so to go back up to here after the Zakef Katon here, V'henif. This comes from the root nuf. You could look up nif. It'll send you to nuf. Noon is a middle week. Noon. Vav pei is our root here, and it's got a hey stuck on the front because it's a hiffle. This is a hiffle perfect, but it's functioning in this chain of verbs like a future verb, right? So here's our imperfect plus perfect plus perfect plus perfect. This is a hiffle perfect. So and hiffle perfect of nuf is like to wave around, and he will wave yado, his hand. And this wave here, nuf, this verb, if you look at it, it occurs in Leviticus and other ritual contexts. It's a ritual verb in many ways. A wave offering is even a kind of offering that's done in the temple. This is a ancient Near Eastern practice, not just ancient Israel. And he will wave his hand, el hamakom, to the place, probably the place of his skin or something like that, right? Va'asaf, and gather up, like take away, maybe take away the, and then this would be like the leper itself, right? So this is a tzara is the root here, which means like to have leprosy, basically, or whatever skin condition we're talking about. This is an ancient, probably a number of ancient skin conditions, but that made one look as if one was dead. And as we know from Leviticus, but from other ancient Eastern cultures as well, there were purity restrictions put on people who had this kind of condition. So Naaman was this mighty general, but he also had this, what was seen in the ancient world as really a disability, a debilitating condition that would render one impure. So here we have a meme stuck on the front of it, right? So this is, and then a schwa underneath. We would expect that this is a PL participle. It's actually a pual participle. It's a passive PL. It's like a passive form of the PL verb. But if you look up tzara, you'll find that in the BDB, and you'll find some other interesting stuff too. So if you look it up in other contexts, so yeah, take a look. It's worth a deep dive. And then we'll go to verse 12. Halo tov avana, and then here you see that there's the kare amana. So abna or amna. Those are two different names here. Then there's, I guess, a conflict as to which one is being actually spoken of here. U parpar na harot Damasek. Damasek, which is Damascus. So, this is our question, upside down question mark. Lo, is it not good? And we'll come back to this word here because there's going to be another word that's going to change our understanding of what good means here. So, is it not good, abna or amna, a place, u parpar, another place, naharot, rivers of Damascus. And so nahar ot, this is the plural, and it's in construct to Damascus. So the rivers of Damascus. Isn't it good? Aren't Abna and Parpar, the rivers of Damascus, good? And then Mikol, from all, and remember when we have something like Tov plus min, you can have the comparative min. This is one of the uses of the preposition min. Good from all in Hebrew means better than. So is it not, or aren't Abna and Parpar, or Amna and Parpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all Mei Yisrael, the waters of Israel? So Mayim is waters, right? It's in the dual form. Water is understood to be dual in Hebrew and other Semitic languages too. So Mei, this is in construct here, the waters of Israel. Hey, aren't my rivers better than Israel? I mean, and it's true. The Jordan is a tiny creek, basically, that does flow all year long, but it is not particularly beautiful, and it doesn't look like super clean either. And if you've ever been to the Euphrates, Those are that. I mean, Aram, the land of Syria, actually does have huge rivers in it. So like the Amana or whatever, the Parpar, like those are actual rivers. So my rivers are better than this. What in the world? This can't have. I wanted the guy to wave his hand over me, right, and do like a magic. I wanted a magic trick. I didn't want to take a bath in a nasty creek. That is demeaning, right? Hello, archatz bahem v'taharti vayefen vayelech bahema. So another question word. So we're starting another question here. Hello, is it not archatz? We have too many letters, and we also start with an aleph here. So my guess is always that if I see this construction here, that I'm looking at a imperfect, first common singular. And so this is I will, and then rachatz, to wash or bathe. So is it not I will bathe, bahem, in them, the taharti, and I will be clean? And here's our athnak. So can't I just wash in them and be clean? Vayifin, and he turned from pana, like face, and he faced away. Vayelech, and he went bahema, with rage, or in anger and rage. So Naaman's got a real anger problem. We've heard that a number of times. He also gets insulted by some things like what he expects God to work like. Sometimes that happens to us too, I think. Vayigshu, and they approached. This is from Nagash, to come near, and they approached, and then the subject comes next. Avadav, his servants, approached. So his servant, Naaman's people came up to him. Vaya, and here's our PL marker, right? Our yod with our PL marker underneath. Vaya dabaru elav, and I'll stop here. This upside down segol here is a good disjunctive marker here. And they approached him, his servants, and they said to him, Vayomru avi davar gadol. I'll stop here. That's a disjunctive. And they said, so and they said to him, they spoke to him, and they said. So these conjunction of words happens. Davar is really more like speak, and Amar is more like say, to report speech. But in any event, and they said, Avi, my father. This is a marker of an honorific here. It's not really his sons, but the father of the household. This is the pater familias. So he's the honor symbolic dad. My father. And by the way, I'm mentioning this because we'll come back to this in next time in chapter 6. My father is used several times by people who aren't dads. So we'll see, or at least dads of those people. Avi, my father. Davar gadol, a great word. Here's our adjective. Our adjective is attributive. It's coming after, and it agrees. A great word. Ha-navi, the prophet. So a great word, the prophet. Diber, elav, has spoken. He spoke. This is the PL. Perfect. The prophet spoke a great word to you. Hello, ta'aseh. Here's our athnak. Is it not, you will do. So won't you do? And then in Hebrew, you don't have to say it afterward, like who or something. Hello, ta'aseh. Won't you do it? You can add the it. Va'af ki amar elech rachatz u tahar. And also, ki, that, amar, he said. And one way to translate this, af ki, and did he actually say, elech, to you, rachatz, and be clean, wash and be clean? Here are imperatives here. Wash, imperative. We have a schwa underneath our first radical. Wash and be clean. So didn't he say wash and be clean? He actually said that, right? He also said wash and be clean. So like, aren't you going to do this stuff that he said? So vayered, vayit bol, vayardain, shava pa'amim, and he went down. So he listened, and he went down, and he dipped. This is maybe an interesting word to just look at what else this means. And he dipped in the Jordan 7 times. Ki devar ish ha'elohim, according to, as or like, according to the word of the man of God. Vayashav basaro, and it was, or we don't know if this is it or he yet, but this is a third person, and this is shuv here, and it was restored. He was restored. Basaro, his flesh. One way to tell that this is a middle week is this long A class vowel underneath our performative. Long A class vowel under performative in 2 letters, you got a middle week. And his flesh was restored to him. Ki basar na'ar katon vayit har, like the skin of a na'ar katon, a little young man, a small young man. So na'ar can really mean someone who's like 20 years old, but it's just someone who's not fully in their adulthood yet, and doesn't have their own family yet. But na'ar katon, that's like a teenager probably. So like a little young man. It's not a baby, but he had the skin. Like, in other words, all his wrinkles were gone and everything else. Like, there was more than just like he got rid of the skin condition, but like he looked like he was a young man again, and he was clean. Here's our just call imperfect here. Call vayikol, our I class vowel there. Vayasav el ish ha'elohim, and he returned. This is again shuv. So it was restored to him, and he returned. Same verb there. Interesting one. Here's our long A class vowel underneath our performative, letting us know this is a middle week. So vayashuv, vayashav, el ish ha'elohim, to the man of God. Hu v'kol mahanehu, him and all his camp. Mahana is a camp, really, but like all his retinue, his troop, his what do you call that? His hype men, his crew who were hanging out with him. Vayavo, entourage. There you go, his entourage. Vayavo, vaya amod, lifnav, lafanav. So he's all his camp. And he bowed, and he came, and he stood before him. That is Elisha, right? Vayomer, hine na yadati ki ein Elohim b'chol haaretz. So, and he said, behold, I know. And you might say, like, now I know. Like this is a revelation here. And here's the I part, right? This is a call, perfect here. Now I know that there is ein, no or not, right? There is not a God in all haaretz, the land or the earth. Ki'im, remember ki plus im means like except Yisrael, except in Israel. Va'ata kachna baracha. So, and now take. This is from lakach. We lost our lamed, right? Take. And we know it's a imperative in part because we have this na afterwards, right? Take, please, baracha, and this is a barak, a blessing. This is the feminine form of the noun. This is a blessing, baracha. Barak is like the verb to bless. Here's baracha, a blessing. So like take a blessing, may 8 from, or, and this is also a way to say a gift. And he's really trying to say, like, a monetary blessing, right? I'm going to give you these 10 talents of silver or the 10 shirts or whatever. Me'et from Avdecha, your servant. All right, everyone see that? Okay, so take the gift. So Vayomer Chai, and he said, this is Elisha responding, Chai Yahweh, by the life of Yahweh, Asher Amadti, whom I stand, Lafanav, before him. By the life of Yahweh, before whom I stand. This is an oath. We've seen lots of oaths in these stories, right? Im ekach, if I take vayif tsar bo lakachat vaya ma'ain. So, by the life of Yahweh, if I take, and this is the way that oaths work in Hebrew. It sounds backwards to the way that we say it. So what they mean is, on Yahweh's life, I will not take, and then he kind of pushed him, and then Bo with him. He tried to persuade him to take. So this is Naaman trying to persuade and trying to push it on Elisha, but he refused, and he refused Ma'an to reject him, but he rejected it. So, Vayomer Naaman, so Naaman said, Velo Yutan na, and not, you might think like, okay, if not, you, and this is, or it, this is from the verb natan. We've stuck our prefix on here, and it has curled up our noon into a little ball under there. And we have a U vowel here, kind of like a shurek. This is a kibbutz, right? Remember, if I said you ever see a kibbutz or a shurek stuck into a verb, you're probably looking at a passive form. This is a call passive. You don't even know this form. This is a very ancient and strange form of the verb that we didn't even really teach you. But just like there's a passive of the PL, that's the pool, this is the passive of the call, which usually is a nifal, but this is not. This is a call passive, just like there's a call passive participle. So in any event, think call passive participle here. So, if not, it will be given, or let it be given. Here's the indicator that it's a jussive. Let, statement of will here. Let it be given to your servant, la'avdecha. Masa, and that's like a burden, or even an oracle is what actually this word was used often to mean oracles. So a burden or an oracle. And then a tzemed, which is often translated two. It doesn't really mean two, it means a pair, and it's used with like animals. Paradim, mules, so a pair of mules. So a burden of a pair of mules of Adamah, earth. So earth, a burden of earth that is the size that two animals would carry. Two mules would carry, 2 mule loads of earth. Ki lo ya'aseh od avdecha ola vazavach le Elohim acherim ki'im la Adonai. So Naaman says, okay, if you won't take what I am giving you, let it be given to your servant. That's his way of saying, give me this 2 mule loads of earth, or the size for a pack, or a yoke of mules. For it will not be done still or any longer, your servant. So your servant will not do any more olah, burnt offering, v'zavach, or sacrifice to the gods or other gods, right? This is acherim, other gods. So you shall not have other gods before me. This is kind of like referencing the Ten Commandments, right? Ki'im, except for la Adonai, to Yahweh. So I'll only sacrifice to Yahweh, but I want 2 mule loads of earth. Now, why in the world would he ask for 2 loads of earth? Because he doesn't want to sacrifice to anyone but Yahweh. I'm gonna let you all talk about that but I mean I've definitely got my opinion on this. But think about why he's asking about dirt. Why does he want this dirt? But also, why in the world would Elisha say okay to that? Seems to be uh, very non-Deuteronomistic here. So, ladavar hazeh, to this word or thing, to this thing or word, yislach Adonai le'avdecha, forgive. This is a call imperfect, but we might think is adjussive. Let Yahweh forgive, pardon, not atone for, but just pardon. Just please let me off the hook for this. Let your servant off the hook of this. But when going, Adonai, Beit Rimon, when my Lord goes to the house of Rimon, this is a temple probably, le hishtachavot. Sorry, hishtach. Yeah, vote. This is such a strange word. This is the form of this is hishtafel. This is a form that only occurs in this word. It's kind of a frozen form from other Semitic languages, and it means to worship. Whenever you see this, you're looking at usually an infinitive construct, but so the root here is actually chava. This is the only part of the root. It's kind of a frozen form. No, again, it doesn't occur with any other form of Hebrew verbs. So it just means to worship, to bow down. Shema, their words, locative hey. So when I'm going to worship at this temple, Vahu Nishan al Yadi. Lean, and he, this is my master, my Lord. This is, he works with the Syrian king, right? And when the king is kind of leaning or bowing, this is a nifal participle, upon my hand, and I am worshiping, this is that whole big word there again, in the house of Rimon. When I am worshiping in the house of Rimon, pardon, and this is again adjussive, third, yislach, pardon, please. O Yahweh, let Yahweh pardon. If this is adjussive, let pardon Yahweh, that is to your servant. So Yahweh, pardon your servant. And now he's a servant of Yahweh, of course, but he's also still serving his king. But davar hazeh, according to this thing. So please let me not be in trouble for this. So what does Elisha say? Does he say, you're a terrible man, don't ever do any of that bad stuff, throw away all of your idols, and you must act perfectly from now on and have good theology, and don't do that dirt magic stuff? No, he says, Vayomer lo, and he said to him, Lech le shalom, go in peace. And he went to a land far away. And then there's the whole Gehazi part of the story, which is really interesting too. But why is it that Elisha says, go in peace? Have your terrible theology and your terrible practices and your terrible liturgy and worship other gods. Why don't we chat about that in the forums? All right. Next story, 2 Kings 6 is a pretty fascinating one, so I look forward to